Natasha Antonioni with Austin Life, where we cover real estate, design, and all things Austin. But today we are talking about California.
Torching the hills north of Los Angeles.
And the reason why is because my family was displaced in the 2017 Napa fires.
Here's the little casita. I think there's...
The guest house is gone. Completely gone.
And there's this little old...
The whole carport is gone.
Where is your car?
Our container. And that's what's left of the Porsche.
We went through that fire. We were not in the position where some families that had lived in their home for 30 years lost everything. We were in a bit of a different position, but I thought it may be helpful and bring some relief to that unknown, because there's so many unknowns when this first happens and you just don't know what is going to be the next thing. So I'm hoping today to share a little bit of factual timeline of events and how it usually goes down, and then also some personal story as to any insights that we gained that were really helpful. And there's probably two that are the most powerful insights that I'd like to share with you today. Number one, I'm going to kind of go through a timeline of events of how it tends to roll out, and then I'll sprinkle in some personal story and hopefully antidote if possible. So basically the rentals, the rates go up dramatically. Being a realtor, I was able to find us a withdrawn property on MLS. So that might be something you want to ask your realtor to do, to look at expired or withdrawn listings for rent on the MLS. The rent was $3,500, I believe, and she was charging our insurance company $9,000 a month. So you will definitely be seeing a lot of that, especially in a city like Los Angeles. You think Napa's a little bit more small town, but there was a lot of that going on as well. So we were covered for a year, thankfully. I do think that we asked for an extension, and I don't think we got it. So in that first month, maybe 2 months, maybe you're staying with friends or family, but you're eventually going to need to find your place again that you can just be while you rebuild or consider your options. I have to say, I want to take my hat off to my husband. He may drive us crazy in this household with how meticulous he is, but his meticulousness was a real help to us during the fires. He got to work right away, putting together our lawyer, our legal team was like, that is the most put together file that they had out of all of the thousands and thousands of files that they had. So basically he went through all of our belongings and you can only do your very best to know exactly everything that you had that was lost. Because he did such a thorough and good job, and you can use ChatGPT for this stuff nowadays, like what is the average household of 4, how many glasses do we have, things like that. We didn't have that at that time. But anyway, we did our very best, and because it's like a speed to market thing, right? Make your insurance agency's life easy by being hyper organized and getting your claim in as quick as possible, because you're at the top of the pile and then they can take care of you kind of quickly. So that is probably my number one recommendation. So following that, and I know that California has made a law that they are not allowed to pursue the owners of the properties, thank goodness, because the vultures, they do kind of hit the town and see opportunities that they can build. So, you know, what I think, if you don't know already, you are of course allowed to list your property, but they are not allowed to come after you and reach out to you, which is great. Nobody wants to be bombarded with a million investors while you're going through such a tragic event. So, it's in a moment to think about, like, where do we want to be? It changed for us. We had moved to Napa from Austin, and we were in Los Angeles, me 13 years, my husband 20 years prior to moving to Austin. And so we had this small window where we lived in Napa for 2.5 years. After the fires, we said we wanted to stay in Napa. We bought another piece of land, and the construction costs just got so high The house we were on was 3.5 acres, and now we could really only afford a half-acre parcel in a neighborhood that wasn't our ideal neighborhood. And then the building cost to build the house had gone so high that we actually decided to come back to Austin. So in that, it's hard to think about that because it's so new, but just to be aware that there are other places in the world to be. When I moved to Los Angeles to be with my husband, I moved from New York City. New York City is like a religion. You feel like it's the best, and you feel like it's hard to be anywhere else because no one does it as good as New Yorkers do, and there's a lot of truth to that, but it depends on what you put your value on. And when you live in these big cities like New York and Los Angeles, your value is on a certain type of lifestyle and standard of things. But when you move to smaller places, like for us, Napa, and even Austin. When I moved to Austin in 2014, I was blown away by the kindness and the generosity of people. People came to our door with warm cookies when we first moved in. We moved in August. We had so many invitations to Thanksgiving dinner because everyone was worried about us, that we weren't gonna have family to be with. So the value pyramid can shift in these smaller places. So just be open to that and consider that there is a world beyond Los Angeles if that is in the cards for you. Now, of course, in Austin, you can afford a lot more than you can in specifically the Pacific Palisades. You would get a lot more for your money. We're a real estate team that is with the #1 brokerage in the country for 3 years running, and we have a wonderful outreach of agents. So if there's any area that you are considering, we would be happy to set you up with a no obligation, no commitment, just curiosity conversations about other options. Just putting that out there. What we noticed after the dust settled. So we were living in our place for about 6 months, and the soil in Napa is so rich that it was shocking to see the recovery that took place in such a short period of time. Obviously, it's a bit of an affluent area as well, like the Palisades. And so it was kind of mind-blowing how quickly the recovery happened. Like literally a year later, there would be areas that you would drive through that you would not even know that there had been a fire. I think that has a lot to do with that beautiful Napa soil, but California soil in general is pretty outstanding. So it is incredible how nature recovers. The thing is that everything will be new, so there will be like a quality factor that increases. I know it was so beautiful, that whole area, so I don't mean to take away from any of that. It is just, a moment where everything can be rebuilt to the current standards. So being in a place like California, that is one really big upside. The resilience and the real estate values. So this is like we're looking down the road a few years. Some communities will rebuild stronger, integrating fire-safe design, and we'll see those property values rebound. We know that that's going to happen in Los Angeles. And that, I think, if I was going to give my opinion about that, will definitely happen in that area. I lived through 9/11 in New York, and then we lived through the 2017 Napa fires. And I have to say, the community factor is like outstanding. It gives me hope in humanity because it is incredible how everyone comes together and supports. And it's incredible how we get through these really difficult moments. I mean, I think for New York, it was like I was on a subway car one day, and right after 9/11, and somebody sneezed, and the entire car went, "God bless you." And then we all kind of sat back in our chairs like in shock, right? Because that's just not a typical New York thing to happen. And it's the same thing in Napa. Like, I couldn't believe the outreach and the outpouring of love and generosity that my family received. I honestly didn't even feel worthy of it because my family was safe and we were all okay. There were people that lost their lives and really lost everything. We lost a lot, but we did not lose everything. And we had insurance, so it was okay. And I guess that is one of the other big messages that I want to get out there, is that Let yourself feel it and go through it and cry about it and be in the pain of it, and then get your boots back on and figure out what's next for your family, especially if there's little ones. Mine were 6 and 7 at the time, and they needed us to keep being strong and keep moving forward. And we did that, and we were able to, we had bought that property in Napa as like a work in progress. We were gonna develop it over time. We were able to move back to Austin and actually build our dream house. So there's silver lining in these tragic events if we allow it. And of course, we didn't have a house right away. It took, a couple of years. We stayed in Napa for 1.5 years before deciding to come back to Austin and then build a house. So, it was 3 years later or more until we were in our beautiful new home. But life continues on if we let it, I guess is my point. So just to kind of go through real quickly, we're going to see a surge in rental prices. We are going to see investors wanting to scoop up properties. Think about, work with a realtor that can run those numbers for you and see what the best option for your family is. Be open to opportunities that you may not have considered, 6 months ago. Maybe this is a moment of change for some reason that we couldn't foresee for you. And know that this community, this beautiful community of the Palisades and beyond, California at large, will rebuild itself, and it will be maybe even better with all of the new fire codes and all of the building codes that thankfully have been removed. No more 3-year waiting lists. You'll be able to rebuild if that's something that you choose to do. So hang in there. And again, if we can be a resource in any way, I'm happy to have a phone call. My team is here for you. If Austin is even the smallest consideration, we would never ever push you, or we're just here to have conversations about the good, the bad, and everything in between about living in Austin, as well as anywhere in the country. If you need a trusted realtor, we're happy to find that right person for you in that right area that you are maybe considering. So please, if there's anything that we can do to help, you just let us know. We are here for you. You are in our prayers, you're in our thoughts, and we send many, many blessings. Thanks. Bye.